Welcome to Half a Point, the podcast that is not flying anywhere. That's right, the wise words by Ken Hinkley to ex-Collingwood player Jack Ginnivan, who famously posted on Brodie Grundy's Instagram, "See you in 14 days. Sorry, Jack, Port came to play." That's right, we caught it here at Half a Point. Port Adelaide caused the upset against Hawthorn. Cuss, welcome. What a weekend of footy.
What a weekend. Few good upsets there.
Yeah, two
Maybe not
upsets. Yeah.
upsets, if you called it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also we have another special guest this week, one and only Anushi Ilangamage from the contest. She's coming third at the moment, so still one of those people who are in contention to win. Anushi, welcome to Half a Point.
Thanks.
All right.
Hi.
All right. So please, as we say every week, please like and subscribe to the Half Point podcast. We say every week we're going to go bigger and better next season. We're just testing the waters this season, but we appreciate everyone's support this season as we get this podcast started. All right. So recapping last week and looking at the records, I went 1-1, so I'm still first on 71 and 55 ATS. So going at 56% ATS. So we say pretty often that pros go around 56%. So I'm right there. I'm right there on the mark. I'm not going to call myself a pro, but we're almost there.
Yeah.
I think if I go 2-1, I maintain the 56%. So that's what I'll be aiming for these last 3 weeks. We have Kus
hmm
still one behind me on 70 and 56 ATS. And then, as I said, Anushi, who's not too far behind that, actually caught a game up 69 and 57. So, Anushi, you were the only one to go 2-0 last week, called both Port and
Wow.
Brisbane. So, yeah, how do you feel about that? And how do you feel about the competition overall?
I think last week was pretty lucky, to be honest. I was not confident on either game. Oh, actually, no, Port game I was pretty confident. Second game I was not confident at all. Um, but I feel like I'm having to make some risky calls just to stay in the comp and avoid an elimination pick. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, gotta make the plays that make your stomach hurt. Cass, you had an 0-2 week.
Mm.
Mate, what's going on?
Yeah, look, my Hawks let me down. So yeah, I think I wrote it a bit too long.
We'll get to it.
Short to get up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, man. Yeah. Speaking of, so I think as a group we did quite poor. We went 6 and 14 as a group, so
Mm.
not a great. Everyone got slaughtered by the Port Adelaide game, and even no, everyone got slaughtered by the Giants game.
GWS game, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, the Giants game. Most of us were on the Giants and should have covered, but anyway, we get to that later. So yeah, 628 and 632 all up as a group, so just around 500, just sort of what we'd expect. Okay, yeah. So recapping the games from last week. So Port Adelaide were 8.5 point dogs at home, and everyone wrote them off except for a few of us, including me and Oshi, who rode Port. We bought low. We'd been talking shit about them, and then I bought the Port stock right on
Locked up, yeah.
time, and ended up winning outright. Yeah, they just brought the intensity. It was a spectacular game of footy. They ended up winning by 3 points. That Hawks had a chance to steal it at the end, but they never really looked like covering. So the Port side of it was always the right side. Yeah, what did you guys think about that game, Cuss? You go first.
Yeah, what a contest. It was just a lot of back and forth. You know, you're right when you say like Hawthorn didn't really look like they were gonna win the game.
Mm.
Port Adelaide pretty much had an answer for everything. So yeah, it was good, I guess, good contest in terms of like how close the score was, but I do think Port Adelaide should have won by more.
Yeah. Honestly, do you think Gidovan's comments actually cost Hawks the win?
I don't know if it cost them the win. Like I feel like everyone's been saying so many bad things about Port that there's just so much fodder for them to be angry about in the lead up to that game, and that
Yeah.
probably would have added to it.
Yeah.
But I feel like regardless, they were the right side.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. Got to take a home dog in the finals. Okay. Moving on to the next game, the Giants and the Lions. The Lions were left for dead, down by like 40 points or something. I'm like, 2-0, thank you very much. Let's take it to the bank. And then Giants just choked. Brent Daniels, what was he doing at the end? Look, I'll put my hand up. I'll put my hand up. Everything I said last week was wrong. So I said, who do you trust? Who do you trust? Do you trust Danaher to kick a goal at the end, or do you trust Brent Daniels? And
Yeah.
of course, Brent Daniels sold the game with that play onto advantage,
Unbelievable. Such a stupid thing. In the
100%.
final as well, you're like 10 meters out, just go back and kick the goal.
Exactly, and also the
Um,
time as well. Take the 30 off the clock as well.
yeah,
It's just a
exactly.
boneheaded play, and then Danaher, two huge goals at the end, one from the
From the
boundary.
boundary.
Yeah. Look,
Yeah.
again,
It's
I'm
what you
not
want to see in
gonna
a finals game though.
So funny.
exactly, yeah, clutch. But I'm not gonna stand away from that statement. I still trusted those guys, but it didn't go their way this time. Obviously, Giants should have covered that game. Like they were in control most of the game. That they outplayed the opposition 2 weeks in a row and lost in consecutive weeks. Pretty
Yeah.
unlucky. Usually teams that go out in straight sets usually get outplayed both weeks, but yeah. So I'd just say that unlucky, and that's how it goes. I'm not sure. What did you think about that game? You're on the Lions.
Yeah, I think who was it? Just Dineth and I, was it?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, just the two of us, which actually doesn't give me much confidence. It's just us two.
stray.
But again, I think no, like called for. I do think again I had to make like a bit of a riskier pick, just competition wise. I also do have a soft spot for Danaher in general, being an ex-Sydney player. Um, I don't know. I think I've said for a couple of weeks Sydney, Brisbane, Granny, and I've just that's still in the
Stuck
back of my
by it. Yeah.
mind.
Yep, fair enough. Cuss.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is, right? It's a close game. It was a fucking insane game.
Yeah,
Giants went home a bit early.
yeah,
Thought they
exactly.
won it, and yeah, they just lost all intensity. There was no pressure on the ball. There was missed kicks. Couldn't get it out of D50 or like
Yeah.
the defensive half. Yeah,
It's so strange. Like Brisbane doesn't really give that like aura of like a team that comes from behind. Like, we've had, Collingwood, I guess a couple of years ago, which like you can never count out and stuff like that, even this
yeah,
year. But Brisbane haven't never really been that team. They've kind of been front runners. So when the game
mm,
was over, you sort of just thought it was over. But yeah, I guess, crazy things happen in finals. And I said last week that like, the run to the finals the previous year, they were brought off wins against Port and Carlton off a couple of emotional wins. This is probably like one of the better finals performances over the last few years, even.
yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, really impressive. All right, moving on to this coming week, preliminary final weekend. I think
Ooh,
it's one of my favorite weekends, honestly. Like grand final is great, but prelim weekend's just unbelievable. Grand final is more theater. This is where footy peaks, I reckon. So, first game on tonight, starting in a couple of hours, we have Sydney versus Port Adelaide. Sydney are 18.5 point favorites at home. So, as I said, Friday, 7:40 p.m. at the SCG. The last time they played, the line was Port were half a point favorites. Cuss and I were both on Port that game, remember? And they ended up winning by 112 points. Everyone remembers that game. They
yeah,
absolutely blew Sydney out of the water. That was at the Adelaide Oval, though. And he was in round 21. So pretty recently, I'd say. Yeah. So, Cuss, if you
yeah.
got.
Look, well, I saw a crazy stat today that Sydney haven't won against Port in 8 years, which is
Yep.
fucking mind blowing to me.
Yep.
And you look back at the last time they played, 112 points isn't something that you can just sort of ignore, right?
Yep.
Coming to this final series, you can't ignore a 112-point win, a couple months ago. Famously, we were watching the Carlton Collingwood game, and that's when Mitch
Yeah.
McGovern
Yep.
missed that, shanked that kick.
Oh,
Um,
you brought that up.
yeah, look, it was funny as I
Okay.
watched the video the other day.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty
Um,
funny.
yeah, look, and last time they played, Port pretty much just had an answer for everything that Sydney had. Outcoached completely. Um, But it's not something that I want to get really blinded by. Like, I think this game will still be close. I think I actually think Sydney might come away with the win here, but I think Port will cover pretty comfortably. It's a big line here.
Wow.
Over 3 goals. Um, so I think Port will cover, but yeah, I'm going with Sydney for the win.
Okay. Anushi, who you got?
I am on Sydney. Um, I think I'm scared, but I think it's still the off-field stuff for Port might affect a little bit. I think Sydney are well rested. They're at home. I reckon the last massive loss to Port is motivation, if anything. Again, Sydney, Brisbane, Granny, still in the back of my mind. Um, and I just think, even though it's a massive line, and I think money's coming in on Port, I again have to make a bit of a risky move. I think Sydney will win and cover.
Yep. Give me the Swans to blow them out by, I don't know, 40 plus. I'm looking at the 40 plus
Yeah.
market. Yeah, this is a smash spot for the Swans. And Port Adelaide played the grand final last week. They're done. I'm back to shit talking Port Adelaide. Here we go. This is where I'm at my best. Yeah, so Carson, you alluded to the Port haven't beaten, no, Sydney haven't beaten Port in like 8 years or something like
Yeah.
that. I looked at their last 6 matchups, and they're 5 of the 6 were in Adelaide, and
hmm
the one that was in Sydney, Port only won by 2 points. So I don't know, bit of smoke and mirrors about that stat. It's just I hate those stats as well. I feel like they're kind of meaningless. Like, what's the
Yeah.
team from 5 years ago got to do with
Mm.
the matchup tonight,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, tend to sort of ignore those kinds of stats. But yeah, great spot for the Swans, as you said, as you sort of said, Anshui. I feel like the off season, sorry, the off field stuff for Port, it's sort of boiled over a couple days. Ken Hinkley's probably still thinking
Broke.
about what happened. Yeah, broke for sure.
Yeah.
40K, Jesus.
20K is a
Um,
big one.
but yeah, definitely Sydney's aside. You're right. Money has been coming in on Port, so it's opened around 19 to 20, and then closed around 17, 18. But prelim weekend, is pros on both sides, so I'm not
Mm.
too worried about that. It's not too drastic of a movement either. Yeah, Sydney. Yeah, no word from the Sydney camp, as I said. They're they're into the grand final. I'm going to say they definitely win this game. There's no way I can see Port Adelaide winning this game. Yeah, and as I said, I think they're going to win by like more than 40 points. They're quite
Yeah.
comfortable.
Mm.
All right.
I do want Sydney in the grand final. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
They deserve it. They deserve it.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
Port's in
sure.
the grand final, then they're just going to lose. So moving on to Geelong, Brisbane. Geelong are 3.5 point favorites at home. At home meaning at the MCG. Saturday night game. Last time they played was round 6 at the Gabba, where Lions were 11.5 point favorites. So yeah, round 6 that was a while ago. Cats ended up winning by 26 points. I think that was a rain affected game. I was on the Lions of that game, and then I think actually you were on the Cats, and then they ended up blowing them out really. So yeah, but that's when the Cats were on their crazy good run as well, right at the start of the season. Yeah, Anushi, who are you going with?
I am on Brisbane for this game. Um, for no good reason at all, really, other than intuition and a bit of hope. Now, I think Brisbane's win last week, you could take it as, like you mentioned that you reckon last week was Port's granny and they're a bit done. Could think of the same thing for Brisbane. But I don't know, something about them. I need them to win. Sydney, Brisbane, granny. I think aren't there like a couple of ins for Geelong this week? Someone's back. Someone was sick.
Probably Stewart.
Yeah,
Do it, yeah.
okay, sure.
Yeah.
But still no Hawkins, still no De Koning. Like, mm, and the huge win for Brisbane last week will just be motivation, I feel like. And again, risky pick competition wise. I just have to do it.
Cuss?
Yep, I've jumped on the Cats here. I think they've had a lot of time to sort of rest, and yeah, they might not have like those key players that they talked about, but I think they've taken this time off to sort of make that game plan to sort of adjust to the Lions matchup. I think there were a few Cats assistant coaches at the Lions game as well, so got a bit of
Oh,
analysis there. Yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, I think Cats are just a really powerful team at the moment. I think they deserve the grand final spot. Lions, I feel like they left it all out there last week. It's like the amount of the work rate they had in that game. Yeah, I feel like they left it all out there. So yeah, I'm on the Cats here.
yep. Give me the Lions. Sorry, Onishi.
No.
That means that you are eliminated from contention because we have the same picks. But give me the Lions as well to blow out the Cats. Oh, not blow out the Cats. Give me the Lions to win outright against Geelong. Yeah, I love the Lions in the spot. Yeah, so everything's sort of against them at the MCG. Not great recently, ATS wise at least. Obviously last year's Granny as well. And yeah, coaching edge definitely. Geelong, I definitely trust Chris Scott more than I trust Pagan. But there's always that balance of rest versus rust. And I feel like this is one of those cases where the team who's resting is at a little bit of a disadvantage, where the way Brisbane were able to come back last week was through, like the way they came back was, cohesion, just good ball movement, contest work. So just they were playing sort of in rhythm. And I feel like that
Yeah.
can sort of carry over to this week, especially when teams sort of travel together. It sort of helps, staying together at the same time, at the same place. I just think it's just going to translate to this week at the MCG. They played big games here recently as well. So yeah, I just feel like Geelong. I feel like their bottom six players are probably not there yet. Yeah, Holmes scares the death out of me. Stewart obviously is crazy, but I just think Brisbane have too much firepower. The Lions 3.5, right? I think the pros are on the Lions as well. I thought the Lions would be short favorites. So I pretty much would have taken anything. Um, yeah, anything with points for the Lions. So yeah, give me the Lions to win outright against Geelong, and yep, just like you said, give me a Sydney Brisbane grand final to eventuate. So wowee, pretty crazy. Thank you for joining, Ansha. I know it's pretty unfortunate news that you've just been eliminated. But
Come to the podcast and find
go on
out.
to the podcast just to find out she's eliminated. Sorry, I have submitted my picks beforehand, so promise you, they are the picks I've made. But yeah, look, Cass, a little bit for you to. So we're in opposites again. A little
Yeah,
bit for
yeah,
you
again.
to
Mm.
make up from the last sort of few weeks, just to go into the off season with some momentum, just so
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can
of course.
take off
Yeah.
take off for next season.
Mm.
But yeah, final thoughts for prelim final weekend cuts.
Look, I just want a close contest. I want good games. I want high scores. I want it all. But no, I'm looking forward to it, especially tonight's game. Definitely going to be a good one.
Yep, Anishi.
I'm excited. I'm a bit devastated by recent events. But that's all right. We'll take it. I'm proud of myself. I'm happy with it. And yeah, just excited to watch, I think.
Yeah, it'll be a great weekend of footy. Is that a tier, Anishi? Oh, I'm not sure. Not sure. All right.
About the game.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Just so excited. Yeah, me too. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining this penultimate. Oh, not penultimate. We'll do an episode after the grand final as well. But yeah, a few more episodes to go, obviously, until the season closes. We'll be back next week with another special guest to break down the grand final, which will hopefully be Sydney Brisbane, because that'll be a cracker. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Cass, for as always, and thank you, Anshi, for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time to prepare and deliver tonight. I think you did a great job. So yeah,
Good stuff.
please leave a like, please subscribe, and we'll see you next week. See ya.
See ya.